Well, the topic today, first, thank you so much for inviting me. Peggy, Tony, Alex, thank you so much, and everybody else, Garrett, and all of you for coming, so I can share some insights of my theosophical understanding. Can you hear me in the back?
Yeah,
Just.
I think.
Yes, you can?
Just.
Therefore.
Just.
Therefore. You can?
Just.
Or-
I can barely hear.
That's fine. That reminds me of big groups. Okay. So let's try to speak louder. I'm not sure if I can speak loud, but you can come close. There's a chance there that we can meet in the center. Anyhow, the topic today is about Osiris and Quetzalcoatl, the subtitle, Allegories of the Archetypal Journey to Illumination. And tomorrow is about the secret doctrine. Thank you, Garrett, for the introduction. It's extreme. Tomorrow I'm going to do something that you will never going to get anywhere else about the secret doctrine. I'm going to show you how to do and how to deal with the law of analogies and correspondence like nobody else. Blavatsky spoke about it, the masters spoke about it, they refer to it, the law of the laws, they don't explain how to do it. Do they?
No.
Why? Because at that time, everybody knew it. It's a Platonic teaching. Plato is the master of analogy. If not, the myth of the cave. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm getting to it, huh? Yeah. The myth of the cave is an analogy. Therefore, studying Plato, you get to know how to understand the law of analogy and correspondence and use it. Therefore, when you see it in the secret doctrine, you need to pause and use it. This is what I'm going to do tomorrow, among other wonderful things. So, you're going to get something very unique. Therefore, going back here, in Osiris and Quetzalcoatl, there are two great figures in our history. Isn't that true? And when I say that, I'm asking you to look inside you to see if you were born once upon a time in Egypt or in Mexico. If you were, these are going to resonate, vibrate inside of you. Anybody likes any of these two topics? Like, oh my God, it's me. Yes, it's me. Which ones are resonate with Mexico? Okay. This is dangerous. They can correct my spelling. Okay, very good. And Egypt, a lot of people like Egypt. Yeah. Very good. Egypt. Therefore, before I get into the Osiris and Quetzalcoatl, I want to tell you what I think is this journey to illumination. Because that's the topic of the lecture. And in my opinion, and here is based again on Plato's teaching on what illumination is. Could be different from what you think or you believe or you know about illumination. But let's see if we can find a middle ground. Plato defined ideas. Remember his theory of ideas, right? Very famous for that. He defined ideas in the Republic as the most brilliant light of being. The most brilliant light, illumination of being. Therefore, for Plato, to find the eye of contemplation, to find those ideas, to find, a better word, to journey to the ideas, to contemplate the ideas is illumination. Once you know the idea of the good, the idea of justice, once you see it with the inner eye, the idea of justice, the idea of good, the idea of courage, the idea of temperance, valor, all these wonderful virtues of him, then you are illuminated and you can put them in to realize them on this world. You follow me, more or less? This is for him illumination. Otherwise, you come back. That's book 10 of the Republic. You don't make it, you come back. I see we made it. Huh? We're very good at that. We passed, huh? The
We
Platonic
didn't make
teaching.
it. We didn't make it. We're still working on it.
Never made it back here.
Well, Plato said we'd all be back together talking about these subjects.
And then we cursed by coming back together to continue. In that dialogue, Glaucon tells Socrates, oh my God, we will never finish it. He didn't use those words, but more. The only one who knows Greek here is Alex. Oh my God, how am I going to understand this? How are we going to continue this? And he said
He said we'll return to pick up this, and I think it was in a reincarnational thing that we would pick up. If we do not finish here, we will pick up again.
we will pick up again. This is the curse.
Yeah.
Once you start this subject, right, the same people over and over and over, right? And then we have to, come back to Alex's house and so on, to Oakland and so on. So it's very interesting. Therefore, what are these ideas? And where do you find them? The ideas to get this illumination. Well, if we go to the Timaeus, it's very simple. Zeus, the demiurge, the logos, right, of ancient Greece, in order to create the universe, so to speak, he contemplated the ideas existing in his mind, and he established the universe. The ideas pre-existing in his mind. Therefore, the question we ask is the idea of the human being and the journey of the human being part of that? My answer is yes. And I found that answer in theosophy. That's why I'm here. And I call it, because I read a book with that title and I love it, The Divine Plan. I call it the archetypical journey. You see that? To what? To find those ideas. That Zeus, I don't know if I'm pronouncing Zeus properly, because it's Spanishized. Oh, perfect. Okay. Zeus, we also call it the logos, and so on, the demiurge. Contemplating those ideas, establish the universe. The beautiful thing about the secret doctrine is what Blavatsky said, please, page 16, very important, memorize the page, is that connection between those ideas, cosmic ideation, and the physical world happens because of light, pouring of light, which is phobos, pouring of light. And this word was unknown, so to speak, what she says, remember, more or less, to the Western philosophers. But well depicted with Zeus, with his lightnings. Right? That's phobos. Wow! Not to you, Jerry. The whole world comes into it. Establishing a bridge. Remember, she uses the word bridge between, so to speak, the world of ideas, or ideation, and the physical world. Imagine that we are able to walk that bridge. Who did the walk? Well, very few people have done the walk in that bridge, right? But it's a mystical walk, right? Mystical. People have beautiful dreams about the angels going up and down. Who? Jacob's ladder, right? He's sleeping on a rock. It's wonderful. And William Blake has a beautiful painting. You see it? William Blake, right? That is the journey. So imagine that out there, which is within us, there is an idea of the path of the human being. And that's the book of life you have to write. And by the end of our life, and some of you are writing a book. At the end of your journey.
It's very long.
Right? It's very long. And then at the end of our life, we look over and we can, if we are illuminated, we can compare what we did with the divine plan. You see that? And if they don't match, what happens? Same thing. So, therefore, if you have that illumination, that you are able to see the divine plan, the journey, archetypically speaking, how would you depict it for the masses? Well, what we say exoterically, to everybody. What would be the children's story you will tell in order to convey the idea that, yes, there is a path. Yes, it's tough. And there are trials and initiations and death and rebirth and so on. And that's what I mean by allegories or myths. You know, just to clear some. And I would like to have a discussion at the end about all these concepts and ideas. It's always good. Therefore, these are the myths of this journey that we all gone through, or we all writing how to get to those most brilliant light of beings, which will allow us to see with our inner eyes, the eye of Buddha in Theosophy, perfectly, so we can see what's in heaven, so to speak, with what we're doing here on earth. That in Egypt, in one way, was written as the myth of Osiris, and it's written by a Greek guy, Herodotus, and you know, a Latin guy, and so on. We don't find that myth very clear in the Egyptian Book of the Dead and in others, but of course they had it because, you know, they wrote about it. And from Isis to Osiris, Plutarch. Everybody who wants to expand this is very important. In the book too of history of Herodotus and so on. So, and in Mexico is the myth of Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl. Can you pronounce it? Quetzalcoatl. I mean, don't you feel like very close to him now? Right? Naming things? No, you know. Quetzalcoatl. Therefore, what we're going to see today, this afternoon, I'm sorry, is two ways that apparently different, they're very similar, to describe that journey. The journey to capture those inner archetypical ideas, so to speak, right? That they are going to show us who we really are. Because when we get it, we see it. We all know this, by the way. You know, the idea of beauty. We all know what beauty is. Isn't that true? When you see something beautiful, nobody can tell you it's not beautiful. Why? Because it grabs your soul, it puts you one with it. You know, if it's a flower, right? The flower grabs your soul, takes you to within the essence, the most beautiful essence of the flower. You are one with it till you feel that you need to cut the flower and put it in your bathroom. That's when the unity, the yoga disappears.
Wow.
Till then, you're one with it in awe. And then, my God, that's hard. Okay, that's the human part. We don't need that. But in a moment, beauty for Plato, of course, is that, right? That bridge from earth to heaven. Is that light? But we are not conscious of that. We are not aware of that light. We don't, because we don't know too much esoteric tradition, we don't see for the activity, right? The activity. We don't see that work. We just see the light and the beauty and then one with it. More or less, that's the idea, right? Okay, so we're going to see two different cultures separated by tremendous distance. We're going to see some similarities among them. We have Osiris here and we have Quetzalcoatl here. You're going to fall in love with them. I'm going to, I hope. And then, of course, two different cultures. If you have any questions, you can, if you cannot sleep tonight, you can ask them right away.
Maybe you could just the light and do you think you're okay? You're okay?
I'm okay. So let's start with Osiris. You all recognize Osiris always because he's mummified, right? Like the myth. You all know the myth, I'm assuming? We all studied that in elementary school. This is the first thing we studied. The myth of Osiris.
Not in America.
Oh, no.
Not in America.
No, not in America. Well, maybe in our previous reincarnation. Okay, so Osiris, what's interesting is that Osiris and Quetzalcoatl, they are both gods, they are both humans, they are both kings. Interesting? That's well explained by Blavatsky. They also titles of people, because in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, every dead person will say, like, for instance, if I'm dead and I'm going through my journey, I will say, I, Martin Osiris, I want to, you see my last name becomes Osiris. I am Martin Osiris. I will be bred Osiris and something like that. Susan Osiris. So it's a title too that you gain once you get. So you will see Nefertun Osiris or whatever. So it's a title you take. And in ancient Mexico, of course, it's also a title of priest. They were called Quetzalcoatls and so on. They were both gods in the cosmological order. I don't know if you like the hierarchy of divine beings. But remember, in Theosophy, the hierarchy of the divine beings are just like Zeus. The Anchohans, like we say, or is written in the Secret Doctrine, are the oldest ones, are the ones who actually do the contemplation of the idea and establish the universe and the laws of nature. They are called the Anchohans. And these are the highest hierarchy of the divine beings, the ones who do that. The topic of the hierarchy of divine beings is extremely interesting and very complicated in the Secret Doctrine. Very, very complicated. I don't think anybody really has grasped better the complete idea. I don't think Blavatsky wrote it like a textbook, you know. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, she doesn't do that for some good reasons. But the hierarchy of the divine beings is a very interesting topic. And in every culture, we'll see Osiris, Quetzalcoatl, and all the gods as part of the cosmic dynasty that establishes the universe. And they all have like a function, so to speak. In the case of Egypt, and I'm not going to go too much into the hierarchy, but I'm going to follow the book of Wallace Bach, right? Even though a lot of people say he's very obsolete, because he said heaven, and we know that the Egyptians meant sky, but I don't care. If that's the problem, you know, well, let there be a sky. You know, I like religion, so heaven is fine with me. Things like Wallace Bach.
Which book was that?
This is the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and all the books of Wallace Bach, a curator of Egyptian antiquities in London, you know, England. The one who took this from Egypt and so it's like the Indiana Jones. The real Indiana Jones. It was a great documentary, not documentary, but on the Egyptian Book of the Dead and Wallace Bach in the History Channel.
Recently?
About 2 years, yeah. Very good. I recorded it, and it's very impressive. And like Indiana Jones, just incredible guy. Incredible guy. I love Wallace Bach. So I read most of his books and I studied his things, and he described that in the Egyptian cosmology, especially the Heliopolis one, the one with the sun god, starts with a one god, Atum, his name, Atum, A-T-U-M, Atum. Different from Aton, you know, the sun god. And that one god, you know, actually is two gods, Ra and Ta, and then the four elements, and then Osiris shows up. So it's like the fifth, you know, stage. Osiris is like the fifth level in the hierarchy of divine beings in ancient Egypt. Something like that. It doesn't matter too much. But what's important is his role as a king. This is where I'm going to concentrate. As a king, he was ruling ancient Egypt with his wife. His wife's name is?
Isis.
Was? Isis. Isis. politically speaking, is a bad name nowadays, unfortunately. Isn't that true? What a bad name. Isis, and they were ruling ancient Egypt. Interesting is that all these divine kings taught the same thing alone. The art of agriculture, science, language, writing, right? It's like the teachings, right? The teachings. And this is how the secret doctrine, stanzas of Siam, ends. And the greatest of the previous taught us. Right? That's the last, kind of the last word.
In your illustration, I'm just trying to understand, maybe you can explain. We clearly see Osiris on the right, sitting on his throne, but who's that guy on the left, and what is he doing?
Martin. No farmer. Martin. There's,
Is that a scribe? Is that someone who's deceased who's approaching the hall of Osiris? Is that?
yeah, no, that's Ani.
Okay.
That's Ani.
That's the scribe. That's the scribe, right? Who wrote this particular?
You don't read hieroglyphics. This is Ani addressing the Lord of Amenti. This is Osiris.
So it is someone who
Ani.
exists.
His name is Ani. Yeah, very.
But he was a real person.
Oh yeah, scribe. Scribe. But we're talking about Osiris.
So there could have been another scribe named
Someone
whatever,
else, yeah.
and we would have seen a different name.
Oh yeah. This scene is in. Ooh, this scene. Can you take the focus? Focus. Yes.
Oh, well, I
Thank you.
don't know.
Just adjust it a little bit. On and off. It moves. The table moves. Okay. So yes. The Book of the Dead, papyri, is depending on the person who died, the deceased. And he's always addressing Osiris. Hey, I want to be one with you. That's the end of the journey, right? To be one with Osiris. We're going there. We're going there. So in the myth of Osiris, and I'm going to cut it short, is that he being the king, his brother wanted to kill him, to become the king, and he does, right? He tricks him. And the way he tricks him, you remember how he tricks him? With a coffin, with the shape of Osiris, a beautiful woman, and said, and in a party he said, whoever fits perfectly in the coffin, or in, not coffin, but in this beautiful wood thing, I'm going to give it to him. And Osiris fit perfectly, and of course they jump and they close the lid, and they drown him. The coffin went all the way to Lebanon and found its way there, and there's a big story. Isis was in distress, and she found him, brought him back to Egypt, and when Seth, the brother, found him there, they cut him in 14 pieces, or 28 pieces, and spread them throughout the world. Isis was stressed out, and imagine that, right? If I get cut in 28 pieces.
Yes.
Oh my God, the insurance funds. Then he asked for help, and other gods helped, and they found him, and mummified him. You see? Mummified. So he's found mummified. See that? So when you see a fellow mummified, a big percent is Osiris. That's a way to know Osiris. Can you see it, or is me? Is there a little out of
It's a little off, but I don't think I can quite sit here. Do you want to turn the light off a little bit? So we
Yeah.
can- At least the one in the front, maybe it will help with the resolution a little.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Much better.
Okay, so cutting it short, what I'm saying is that if we are writing the divine plan of a human being, and we need to go through these experiences of being, at one time we were gods, right? And this is the stage we are monads in the secret doctrine. Monads, stanza 3, the monads come out of the state of reabsorption of the one. Happily, they come out, jumping around. Because what in this universe, what are the oldest beings? Monads. Anything alive that is in the journey has to have a monad, or is a monad, right? Monad. We're not talking about anything else, but monads, the secret doctrine, stanza 3. Monads, everywhere, right? And according to the state of evolution of that pilgrim inside us, the Atma Buddhi. Do you all know what I'm saying? More or less? Yeah? More or less. If not, it's okay. Catch up with this someday. Join us on the group. So our spirit is the oldest being in the universe. Isn't it true? Because it's immortal. And to be alive, you must have, let's say, a spirit. In Theosophy, Atma Buddhi, the monad, right? Individuality. So at one time, we all were gods. We all were monads, so to speak, devils. And then we got a body, and that's the anthropogenesis in the secret doctrine, with the help of divine beings. If you want to see that help and what happens is Sloka 17 of anthropogenesis. You have all the human principles and all the divine beings that help. Tomorrow we're going to see that. Very impressive. All the divine beings and all the principles. Sloka 17 anthropogenesis. So we were all divine beings. We all found ourselves in a human body, right? And in that moment, we find in the story of Osiris and Quetzalcoatl that we are the king of ourselves and a country. We can use Plato by saying, if you are the king, the ruler of yourself, you can, as an analogy, is the same as being the king and ruler of a city, of a state, right? As above, so below. And in that you have trials and regulations and tribulations, and maybe even death. And then you resurrect. You see that? It's a story. It's a children's story, but it's very powerful. And then what happens is and I think I have another slide around that. Yeah. Yes. This is the symbol or the way that Osiris' brother was depicted. What animal is that? Anybody? An animal?
Is it a jackal?
No.
They call it a Seth animal. I think.
A what?
Seth animal.
Set?
Seth animal.
Anteater?
Anteater?
Yeah, looks like
You
a
think that Egypt had anteaters?
No.
Oh, no. It looks like an anteater, right?
Yeah,
Maybe we should vote. It does look like an anteater. I don't think the anteater has this type of ears, huh?
Mm-mm.
But definitely, this type of. But let's call it a mythological animal. What? Huh? Mythological? Right? Okay. That's it. Usually portrayed as the bad guy, right? The Osiris, right? But not for the Egyptians. They have a whole dynasty of Seti the first, Seti the second, right? So he can't be that bad as the pharaoh, the ancient king, right? His title was after him, so he cannot be that bad guy. Interesting is that while this is happening, while Osiris was killed and all that, the wife, Isis, in a dream, Osiris shows up and says, my sister, my wife, you are pregnant. And I'm shortening this, the story. And you're pregnant and your baby is going to be the savior of the world. Now, if you are in that journey, and every aspect of it is also a part of you, what does it mean? What does it mean all this? What does it mean to you? This is rhetorical, don't answer it. I want to answer it. It's meant for you to think about it. What does it mean that your son will be the savior? Interesting too, right? Your son, in the case of Osiris. will save the universe, the world, and you. And in this slide, we have Horus, which is a hawk-headed god, and Set. You see Set, recognizing now? The anteater, thank you. They're both with the Egyptian symbol of prayer, blessing, right? Not going into the esoteric world, but the occult world, but, even the best of you. Right? So they united, you see, now in an action. So he's not such a bad guy after all. You see that? And here is another one. You see Seth? He looks more like a bird here, doesn't it? More. This looks like almost like a ibis, without the ears like that. So it's a unifying principle in this moment. So what I'm trying to go to is the thinking that if you are in this journey and Osiris represents the divine plan of every human being, at this stage where your son has to become the savior, not you, your son. Isn't that interesting? What would that mean? In one level, it could be your reincarnation, right? You continue the work. In another level is new ideas will come out, right? New ideas. You are finding that the old form has to be left and new ideas. Any more ideas here? You?
Maybe the illuminated self?
The illuminated self.
Although in essence, it really is you all along. In another point of view, it's a new you.
Right.
Part of you, but.
It's a new you, right?
Right.
Yeah, very good. Like out of the Phoenix bird.
In a crude way of saying it, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's where I'm going. That's very good. It's my wife too.
We suspect.
Interesting too, in ancient Egypt, in order to revive Osiris, Isis with this symbol. This is the hieroglyphic of Isis. Twin sister Nephthys has this one, so you can tell them apart. She asked Anubis, the jackal-headed god, to help in reviving him. So not only to mummify him, but to bring the soul back. And he's represented always in the Egyptian Book of the Dead as going into the funerary temple and revive the soul of the dead. So everybody who dies knows that Anubis, I don't know, how do you say that in English? Anubis? I like that. Will come back, will come down and will revive for the journey in the afterlife. The journey is well described in the Mahatma letters. You know what I'm saying, Mahatma letters? Mm-hmm. Right? Of the bardos, the various stages that the soul will go before you reincarnate. Another god is Hermes. You recognize him? Thoth, right? And of course we have Isis and Nephthys and the symbol of Osiris in its fullness. In the symbol we have is the sun shining. What is the sun? The highest representation of ourselves, the Atma, right? Remember in the esoteric teachings of Blavatsky, the Atma is the sun, represented as the sun, and then the moon represents Buddhi. Here is the sun, and then the symbol of life, and the column. The column is the support of the gods, the prana, the physical, and so on, the power of the god, the column. So the various principles are depicted there. And there is much more there. It's a beautiful thing. I really want to encourage you to study the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And the way I do it is very simple. Please use this. It's so simple. It's a simple technique. simple thing. First, you read the whole Isis unveiled and mark in yellow the Egyptian part. Then you take the whole secret doctrine, read it, and mark in yellow the Egyptian, everything about the Egyptian.
So
Then you take it out, right?
So simple.
It's so simple. Then you read the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I recommend the Wallace Batch, right? And then whenever she says something, just look at it. Now you know it. Isn't that simple? Right? And if it gets a little tricky, call me. Email. Then, like in every statuary of the king of Egypt, you will have this balance between the two sides of the coin, the light and what we call the side that will tend to distract you, to destroy you. I like to see in here Vishnu and Shiva energy. Two sides that will, you know, the little angel that say, hey, you're doing good. Good, no, you're not. Things like that. Isn't that true? And they're all in harmony, so beautiful. One will give you the light, the other will try to get you the light in the next life, you know? Something like that. It's so beautiful. It's just ancient Egypt statuary. I mean, iconography is fantastic. Any thoughts about this? Nobody dies here, by the way, in this Book of the Dead. Not even the human being who dies. Even though they talk about another death and snakes killing you, but nobody dies. In mythology, very few people die, usually humans. But the gods never die, right? They don't die. They can't die, monarchs don't die, unless.
Martin, in the last one, it looked like each of them was holding a ankh in their hand.
Oh my God.
You can go back.
Preview, copy
Oh, you can preview here.
Previous where?
The other way.
When in doubt,
That's okay.
it's-
We don't-
it's
we don't
go
need
from the
There you
beginning.
go. There you go.
Oh, never mind. Close.
This one, no?
Two guys standing on each side.
So it's not the first one. That one? No. Almost.
That's where you had Horus and Seth on either side of
Yeah.
Osiris.
Oh, I see.
And
There,
Is
there.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Was
it.
it
But you had a blown up one next where you could see their hands.
One more, I think,
Yeah, wow.
Is what they're holding a,
Yeah, they are. You don't have an eye, everybody has an
I didn't wear mine.
eye. Oh,
Sorry.
okay, well, that's the eye, symbol of life, right? The symbol of life. Life.
Eternal life.
Oh, he knew, huh? He knew. Eternal life. Yeah, that's what they're holding. See that? The eye.
So what do you think that means?
Oh, isn't that beautiful? And I know you know. We all know. What does it mean to hold the life? First, you're immortal. Isn't that true? You are immortal. Life is eternal, immortal.
Well,
Yeah.
if we're equating it to some theosophical ideas, the idea that Atma Buddhi Manas is the pilgrim, but the Atma Buddhi, more or less, is the eternal pilgrim.
The pilgrimage, eternal,
So,
you're immortal.
Or the two, but,
Yeah.
maybe that's not the right representation.
No,
But I thought it was
you are-
interesting here, and sort of getting off it, in that a subsequent image with Isis and Nephthys,
Mhm.
also in the central figure. It's a trinity
Yeah,
with
with the
the,
ankh in the
but
middle.
it's one, they're joined all together. So what does that, I guess I'm asking a question too. What
For
does
me,
that
it's the
signify?
universality of life, right? But we have another idea.
Well, my idea was that it represents the awakened soul.
The awakened soul, very good.
To the possibility
Mhm.
of eternal life.
Good.
And that, it's their purpose to pursue the kingdom of it.
Right. And these are gods, right? I mean, they represent that. Part of the idea, the Platonic idea of a god is they are light. They are the most brilliant light of beings, right? And that is, in my opinion, is represented by this, by the idea of life, eternity, and everything associated with that. Okay. But it's extremely important. as a symbol. I'm sorry.
I think it's interesting that they are holding the keys for Osiris in a sense. He has to work both sides of it to
Uh-huh.
really reach conscious eternal life.
Perfect. I knew he knew. Thank you. Thank you. No, that's what it is, right? We have a moment of insight, and remember, you and me, we're all writing the same book, right? This is a story to tell us where we came from, where we're going, and what's our state, right? Like riding the bull, what is it, in Tao? The bull.
Oh, the in Zen, the oxer
Zen.
pictures.
Yes, those oxen. You know about that one, the oxen? It's the same. It's you. You find yourself in the myth in some place. I think I jumped one slide right here. Sorry about this. This guy. This is the one that the birth of Horus. The birth of Horus. You see that? It's very similar to Mary and Jesus. Isn't that true? You can always say that safely that this is the archetypical idea, right, of that image. Came down through ages from Egypt to Christianity. Isn't that true? And here we have Ammon, the king of the gods, giving Isis the key of life, right? The ark. I don't know if you can see it. And Thoth has the sistrum. See that? Sistrum, or something like that. And a couple goddesses. Here's Isis. What the Book of the Dead, what the book of From Isis to Osiris says is Isis waved her wings to blow the air inside the nostrils of Osiris. And here she is with those beautiful wings. Isn't that beautiful? Isis with wings, the wing life. And that's the breath of life. Right? She has the horns. She wears the horns of Hathor, the great cow goddess of the universe in the sunshine, among others. I mean, every slide here is so beautiful. We can enjoy the whole lifetime. So in the end, Osiris retreated as the Lord of the Dead, left Horus as the Lord of the living. And as the Lord of the Dead, he's in what we call Amenti, the Lord of Amenti, or the King of Amenti. And these are the symbols of Osiris. You see him mummified, see that? Standing on the waters of the universe. See this dark blue? Waters of the universe. You see these little steps? These are the steps of the soul, the dead soul will go up and find Osiris. Isis is behind, and the symbol of kinship. The four children of Horus, the four cardinal points. Blavatsky refers as these four as the this is very, very beautiful. As all those divine beings that, like the Lipikas, that control the universe. Stanza 5. They draw a circle and the circle not. They are these guys. Upon the lotus flower, we know the lotus flower, very symbolical. There is another one here of Osiris. Now it sits down in the throne. Isis and Nephthys, the four children of Horus. The throne, on top of the throne, you have the cobras with the a hawk in the center. They're very interesting. Do you like this type of painting? This is very different, very white, starting, sparkling. Very interesting how the bandages or the way that it's mummified. And of course the title Osiris, the Lord of Amenities. Right? Any question on this? This is in the end the symbol of Osiris. This is the symbol that every ancient Egyptian wanted to realize. At the very end, they all felt they want to be one with Osiris.
Is
Yes.
that Ani as Osiris, or that's not yet?
He already blended.
So that is Ani as Osiris?
Yeah, I want to be one with you, and this is the one.
Is Osiris a symbol of one of the ideas of Plato?
Yes.
So you could almost interchange this, that this is a metaphorical journey
Mm-hmm.
to the ideas of illumination that you find in Plato.
Right.
That's the point of all of
Yes,
this. And
exactly.
to know the story in depth is to get, if you can make analogies with our everyday lives of what
Mhm.
happens in this drama, can
As
we
your
identify
drama.
something in Alex's life that happened to Osiris that
Right.
might help me on my journey to illumination?
Exactly.
That's the whole idea.
Oh.
But so this is a metaphor or a symbol
Yes.
to connect with Plato's ideas.
Thank you. That's well said. And also to show you what you need to do in
Right.
order to get there.
And
Right.
in theosophical terms, because some new people, the
Yeah.
monad is what's collecting
Mhm.
this information, so to speak,
Mhm.
and making this journey to Plato's ideas.
Correct.
That's a way of looking at it. I never thought of the monad as journeying to Plato's ideas, but that's, if Plato's ideas are the absolute, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Approaching the non-dual
Ah,
situation,
yeah.
you know, being by
Allegorically,
non-dual
yeah.
biases.
Right.
This would be a metaphor of that journal.
Right.
If we say the monad is like a soul learning and evolving.
Yeah, with the distinction that the monad really doesn't journey, but appears to.
I know,
right?
well, the ray of the monad, we get into technical.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, let's
technicality.
leave
You know,
that.
yeah, the monad doesn't,
Yeah, the
but it's a
monad never
pilgrim at the
rays,
same
it's
time.
the ray
It's
that's
part of the-
traveling.
Yeah, part
Yeah,
of the.
I understand.
I saw another hand. Yes.
The cobras fascinate me. I never knew they were really many cobras in Egypt.
Okay.
But it reminds me of the Tibetan takas of Buddha or other variations like the Tara, where they always have lots of cobras behind. I don't know if you noticed, I guess they're protecting the Buddha.
Right.
Is there any other significance to the cobras? Are they a symbol of snake wisdom or?
Yes,
Mm.
exactly.
So it's
It's
similar
snake
to
wisdom.
Eastern,
Yes. The Nagas, right? The old ones, the white ones, right? In this scene.
It's kind of interesting, there's 12 of them.
Oh, you counted them.
Sort of like the disciples, well, I think they
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
I'd like to see clearly.
That's very good.
I thought perhaps there was going to be 7 on each side, or they meet in the 7.
Well, there are 7 if you count that this is the center one that harmonizes them or finishes them or complete them, right? So you have 6 on either side with a arc in the center, right? So if you count 6 plus 1, so yeah, yes.
And the cobra is also represented as a sign of illumination of the king. It's the Uraeus, the cobra
Right.
that's right on
Mhm.
the third eye of the pharaoh. And so cobras have a protective power, but they're also a channel to the higher self.
Right, thank you. Thank you. In the secret doctrine, Blavatsky wrote, as in the exoteric interpretation of the Egyptian rites, the soul of every defunct person became an Osiris. See that? That's what we're doing here. To see how we see ourselves in the myth. Became an Osiris, was Osirified, though the secret doctrine had always taught that the real Osirification was the lot of every monad only after thousands of cycles of existence, so in the present case. This is from the Republic of Plato, where Plato said, the lot of every human soul after 1,000 cycles of existence, right? And go on. So it's very Platonic. The monad, or divine soul, excuse me, has to perform its septenary gyration through the cycle of beings and forms, from the highest to the lowest, and then again from men to God. At the threshold of paranirvana, it reassumes its primeval essence and becomes the absolute once more. Isn't that interesting? So what Blavatsky said is, from the secret doctrine point of view, we are going through a septenary cycle, which he calls it gyration, right? From the highest to the low, from being a divine monad to the lowest. What is the lowest? Well, maybe the lowest of the elementary form, in my humble opinion. And then from the lowest of the elementary kingdom, then we rise again, right? From man to God. You just come down and rise again. You see that? So remember, in the secret doctrine, the septenary kingdom starts with an elementary kingdom, all the way to a divine kingdom. What's interesting here again is the word "to God." That sounds bad for most people on this earth. They want to see God as something outside nature, creating a universe. Isn't that what they say? Mm-hmm. God creates nature, not in theosophy. Interesting here is the soul here, with the symbol of infinity that is like half an ankh. See that? Half an ankh. So when Anubis left the dead person after his magical passes, magnetical passes, the soul goes up into the next life after death. Here is the famous Osirian judgment. Can you see? This is what every Egyptian person wanted to pass, right? And at the end of this judgment, he will be one with Osiris. He will be at the feet of Osiris and tell Osiris, Osiris, I passed the judgment. I haven't done any of the bad things in life. I'm one with you. Isn't that beautiful? And then the yoga of the human to God happens. If he's found that he's not truthful, these are the 42 Lipika or judges, right? In ancient Egypt, Lipika is the judges of the karma, so to speak. If he's not truthful, this is Maat, the goddess of justice. The symbol is the feather. If his heart weighs more than the feather of Maat, of justice, a thought will record it in red. Red is bad, right? Red is bad. Losses, bad, right? Same in accounting. Right? And with bad karma, Amit, the devourer of the soul, which is 3 animals. Really, you see the 3 animals? Well, it's a crocodile. He will chew you with a crocodile. I don't recommend that, but that happens to a lot of us. This is the way to reincarnation, by the way. Bad news, huh? According to ancient Egypt, this animal will chew you, will digest you like a hippopotamus, right? And will you to earth, right? And we're born like, oh my God, what is it? Here I am, not again, and we cry. The other way is to be one with Osiris, right? Isn't that beautiful? Well, not the second part. Not the swallow, the devourer of the soul. So, do you see yourself there? Well, now, what's your choice? To come back or to be one with Osiris? Yeah, that's a beautiful choice. Of course, we don't know. We have no idea what it means to be one with Osiris if we don't know what's the most brilliant light of him. We have no idea of how to be one with the one. How can we stay there? And that's a problem. And for that, we need Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, therefore, as the word indicates, Quetzal is a beautiful bird. Have you seen the beautiful bird, Quetzal? It was majestic. Oh, I only seen it once. And since then, I'm hooked in YouTube to see it many times. But You know, in Mexico, I saw it one. Have you seen it?
I've seen it in Costa Rica.
It's a bird snake. And you need to see yourself as a bird snake. Symbolically speaking, what would you think your true nature is? Bird and snake. First, duality, correct? Very distinctive duality. The snakes are very earthly. The birds are ethereal, fly. Isn't that beautiful? That you have dual nature, isn't that true? What's interesting is the snake here represents the low nature. In ancient Egypt, we saw the Oreos as the higher nature, right? Here we have, but it's associated with Quetzalcoatl, so it's extremely important. Even in the Olmecs, we have the Olmecs are very, very old culture. We have the Quetzalcoatl in their statuary and representation. So what we're going to see is the life of Quetzalcoatl, the myth of Quetzalcoatl, which of course we all know because we studied this in elementary.
You did.
Right? Oh, thank you. One thing that confused the heck out of the Spanish priest is Quetzalcoatl had everywhere in his iconography a cross. Everywhere you find the cross of Quetzalcoatl, everywhere. And what they did in 1960 in Mexico City is they removed them from the museum at the request of the cardinal. All the crosses, anything that had a cross has to go. And that was a problem, right?
Sure.
Isn't it a
Whole
big
museum.
So good news is they put them all down.
Yay.
That long live Quetzalcoatl. So what we're going to see is what the myth represents and all the characteristics and in the end, we have a cosmic picture of the god Quetzalcoatl. And that god is right here. You recognize him already. And what happened is, in one moment in his journey, he faced the Lord of the Dead, Mictlantecutli. And Mictlantecutli said, Quetzalcoatl, what are you doing here in hell? They didn't say hell, they say Mictlan. But we understand each other, right? Mictlan. What are you doing in Mictlan? And he said, well, you know, I need to people the planet. And you have a lot of bones here. Listen this theosophically speaking. The earth is empty. We are between humanities. There are a lot of bones in hell, and he's there to have a new humanity. And he asked him, what should I do? And he said, listen well. He said, well, the only way to do this is take the bones and yourself and circle around the planet 4 times. Isn't that interesting? 4 times. And when you descend, you're going to be alive. And you have a new humanity. So obviously, they plagiarize the secret doctrine. So obvious. I mean, no bias here. It's just a textbook of the stanza social. So in this so-called Aztec calendar, you will have the one cosmos, the one universe, or the one all, divided into 2. One side is the world of Quetzalcoatl, the other side is Tezcatlipoca, the other god, the dual god. They facing each other. They are like the yin and the yang, the dual nature of the universe. And under them, under this fohatic, incredible, here's the color of structure of that. Under this fohatic 2 dragons. Remember in the secret doctrine, dragon is very important. True. Stanza 5. The divine dragon of wisdom, right, will enable the universe. What Blavatsky didn't talk is about the other dragon. But fortunately, we have the book of Revelations. In that book, we have the other dragon, which is the same dragon, but doing the opposite. One dragon will create a universe, and the other, the same dragon at the right time, will destroy the universe. So this is the key to understand the book of Revelation. You have the opposite. We don't have apocalyptic stanzas in the secret doctrine, but we have them in the book of Revelation. Isn't that cool? Peggy, you told me I have till 9, right?
Yes.
Okay. Till when? Now? A few minutes?
4:30.
Oh, thank you so much. I thought time was not. Okay, so again, in the Aztec, so-called Aztec calendar, we have 2 dragons that are in charge of creating and destroying the universe. The creative forces represented with Quetzalcoatl, the destructive forces represented with Tezcatlipoca. We're going to see them in a minute. And then inside here, all the cosmic forces, to the point that these are the 4 gods in charge of the 4 humanities, and the 5th god, the sun god, in charge of the 5th humanity, where we are now. The 5th god is Olintonatio, is under the sun. You see him blonde? These are the hair. So when Moctezuma saw Hernan Cortez, a blonde fellow coming from the ocean, he saw the avatar. He saw the savior. And he knew he's going to turn into a golden era. He was right about the gold, but not the golden area. They wanted the gold for themselves. You see that? Disaster. Why? We were not there to tell them the true meaning of the stanzas
They
of
forgot
the
the analogy part.
the analogy. He got it wrong. See the problem of not knowing this stuff good? You see? The destruction of the civilization. But the ideas are there. Isn't that interesting? So each of these gods, and the second was Quetzalcoatl, is going to create a humanity and destroy the humanity. With flooding, with animals, with fire, and with air, and so on. It's very interesting. And this is Coatlicue. Coatl, you know what it means, right? Snake, very good. Now, in the secret, in Isis Unveiled, in the section of Mesoamerica, Mexico, Blavatsky said something very interesting. When you think about the pre-Columbians in Mexico, etc., we are tend to think about Atlantean remains. Isn't that true? In Theosophy, Atlantean remains. And Blavatsky in that book gave us a little clue. She says the word Atlantis means, you see that? Adult, water. Is the root of the word water. So Atlantis, Aztlan, they call it Aztlan, the island that all these people came from, Aztlan. Isn't that interesting? ATL. It's not Greek, I'm sorry. It's Atlantean word. So Blavatsky said, look for the ATL as the connecting route or route of Atlantis. Isn't that interesting? So I love that. I haven't done that. So this is Quetzalcoatl's mom, the mother of Quetzalcoatl, Coatlicue. Wouldn't you love to have a mom like that? Right? With a dual head, right? Those 2 dragons. Isn't that interesting? And so we're not going. Snakes all over. The dressed snake. We're not going to go over Coatlicue too much. But she's the mother. And according to one legend, and there is a very beautiful book about all this. It's called The Religion of Ancient Egypt by Laurette Séjourné. And she collected all the stories of Quetzalcoatl and ancient Mexico. It's a wonderful little book.
What's the name of the book again?
It's the history of ancient Mexico, and Laurette Séjourné. And I have it in Spanish, it's very good. It's in English too. Therefore, the story goes that Coatlicue was cleaning the temple, you know, and one day the ceiling opens. There is no temple roof, and from above a little feather, white feather, comes down. She picked up the feather, placed it under her dress, and in that night she had some dreams. Your son will be the savior of the universe, of the world. Oh, the dream of every girl. You know, isn't that true? A virgin woman, you know, with a white feather. And look at the symbols, right? With voices from above, and the son will be the savior of the world. And Quetzalcoatl was born. Yeah, beautiful. Then, when he was the king, we're going to jump a lot for the sake of time. When he was the king of ancient Mexico, his prime minister, called Tezcatlipoca, who is the same name of the god who faces him in the calendar, right? But now they're all humans. Remember, we all devas, we all divine beings in our spirit, right? And here we're humans. He is called the Lord of the Smoking Mirror, Tezcatlipoca. The Lord of the Smoking. What a beautiful tale, right? The Lord of the Smoking Mirror. In Quetzalcoatl, being the king and taught them the art of writing, you know, they had a lot of writings and art of agriculture and science and numbers and initiations and religion. One day, and do you see the mirror is right here? One of the foot is the mirror. See that? Interesting, huh? Why the foot is the mirror. That's interesting.
So the picture on the left is supposed to be one human being?
This is a human being, yeah. This is the,
Wow.
and a god at the same time. You
Yeah.
see, it's all one, right? Depending on the level you're studying them. So, this is the same fellow in two different,
I can see the fellow on the right, I can't quite find his head on the left.
Like the face, yeah.
this is
That's
the eye.
his face?
The eye.
Oh, okay.
Nose, see that?
Wow.
The line of the nose? You see, they like black hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, you see that? Same?
Oh yeah, using the right one for a model, now I can see it, that's great.
Well, if you don't like this, forget it. No, but that's the idea, right? You see it?
Yeah, just
Okay.
let us
This is a different codice.
Yeah.
There are very few codices surviving this way. So the idea of the smoking mirror. Quetzalcoatl says, I'm so great, I'm such a great king, you know, I'm immortal, I'm a divine being. And Tezcatlipoca said, no, you're not. Here, look at yourself. And show him in the mirror, the face. And Quetzalcoatl, seeing the face of a human being, cannot believe that he is human. So what does it mean to us? Imagine ourselves in a moment of a mystical contemplation, that we see ourselves as the divine that we are. And then we realize the human that we are, right? Quetzalcoatl, right? The bird, the snake. Thinking that we can fly to heaven, we see ourselves truly, and someone tells us, truly, you're walking on the earth.
So this is what the first sort of limitation
Uh-huh.
as
Good.
a human,
Mhm.
because I guess that's why the mirror would be near the ground, because it's much more earthly. Yet there's still the energy and potentiality of the God, because I know in some of those codices that do survive, this almost looks like that sort of the whirling cross, and you can see it more. I mean, just as the total figure, it's sort of built around that whirling creative energy. But is
I
that,
can see the energy, yeah.
but, so
Very
the
impressive.
mirror is that, am I seeing that right? The mirror is the limiting?
What would you think is a mirror, as a smoking mirror? What's smoking mirror mean?
But it's smoking.
Smoking, does it
Reminds
tell
me-
you the truth?
Reminds me of the expression of the glass darkly.
The what, I'm
The
sorry?
glass darkly. that's mentioned, through the glass darkly.
Therefore, we don't see, can you conclude, we don't see what?
Well, maybe the true monad, the true divinity.
We see truth.
Okay.
Or maybe we don't see truth. Yes.
It's the reverse.
It's the reverse.
Smoking mirror.
Smoking mirror.
mirrors, you know.
It's an incredible, smoke is an incredible, and everything is dual, right?
It's an illusion.
It's
So,
like
and
illusional, yeah.
magicians would say, you know, we use the phrase smoke and mirrors,
Mhm.
and it just means an illusion.
An
Like
illusion
pulling a-
too, right?
Yeah, Maya, we're pulling a trick.
Maya, which is the lowest aspect of ourselves, right?
Thinking that's really it.
Which is really true too, right? So to speak, relatively speaking. So it's very interesting. Seeing that, immediately the first thought he had is, I need to place a mask. People cannot see my human face. I want to make a beautiful mask in jade. And he placed a mask in jade. And you're going to see jade masks all over the museums. And then he said it's not enough. And in the codices, they depict him as taking some wood, and going to the ocean bank, right, the sand, and burn himself. Cremation.
So these are the crosses they took out of the museums.
Yeah.
He took everything. That was like a
Doesn't make
what?
sense to paint them out.
I mean, will you remove this from a museum? Oh yes, you would, right? Or they burn. So he took that. He took pieces of wood, carried them to the shores, and burned himself. Of course, water plays a role here, right? And would you say that this is a very interesting icon in a college? Have you seen this before?
But just
In
like,
every neck of a human being.
just like some
I think that's as well.
interpretations of the Christian, you know, and the Christ and the cross, it's sort of taking on the burden of the world, or taking on the burden of life, or
Right.
incarnation.
So there is something mystical about the cross. It's not just a symbol of where you get nailed or something. It's something very, very mystical. Yes.
Are we sure that this is pre-Columbian? Really? So they had that exact?
There are only about 5 surviving codices. They burned them all. You know, for days and days, they burned all their books. Oh, days and nights, they just took them all. But unfortunately, about 5 survived. You know, one here, one there, all in Europe. One here, one there. 5. Just 5. That's so sad. And then what happened to him? Yeah.
I was gonna say that, HPV says the spirit is basically crucified into matter in order for us to go through the evolutionary process of the monad.
When you
Probably
go
gets
back.
self-conscious.
Just give me a second to find myself lost in my book of life. You know, sometimes the iPad doesn't do a good job. Thank you. Don't run away, don't run away. Don't
Well,
run
they,
away.
you like what I said.
I love it. Don't run away. Don't run away. I'm somewhere here.
There it is. No,
You found?
yeah, it's
Here,
number
here.
15.
Yes, this is where I am. Recover the past. Sorry, April.
So I was gonna say that the spirit is crucified in the matter in order for this lower self to basically sort of purify itself or burn up, so that the spirit becomes the self-conscious God. So you still have the two, spirit and matter,
Mhm.
but now you have an illuminated God
I know, right.
that
It's-
is burned himself up.
The devil in us still
Burned up.
survives, right?
Mhm.
The cross is also the Ankh as well. It appears at the center of our seal
Mhm.
as well,
Right,
which can tie back to the Egyptian
right.
mythology. And there it
Right.
symbolizes the eternal life.
Very good. All that. Isn't that how it's symbols spark our imagination and the world of ideas? Yes? Then what happened? Quetzalcoatl found himself in a journey to the netherworld. He took the form of Xolotl, which in some pictures is human, like this. In others, is a dog like Anubis. Right? And look how he's depicted. First, bunch of crosses everywhere. See that? Second, he said, I don't need to see. See the eye? It's sacrifice. The physical eye is sacrifice. He said, I don't need to see. Isn't that interesting? Very similar story to the...
Osiris. No, sorry, I got that wrong.
No, who is the guy who
Well,
the sirens?
Odin.
The sirens.
Oh, Ulysses?
Ulysses.
Okay.
He wanted to hear them, but he tied himself, right? But the crew cannot hear them, right? It's something like that. In that journey, there's precautions, right?
Odin also sacrificed his eye,
Odin.
and he got an inner vision.
Yeah, what?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was saying that Odin also sacrificed one of his eyes, and he gained kind of an inner sight.
Odin.
Right. But he has crows.
Right.
He had ravens.
Right.
You don't have ravens. he could do it, huh? With ravens. Yeah. Okay, so it's interesting, isn't it true? That he found himself that in order to do the journey, he has to sacrifice his sight and go to it. So for 4 days, he spent his time. In the meantime, because of what he did, Tezcatlipoca, also the Lord of the Smoking Mirror, went through a transformation. And his transformation is dual. First, his skin peeled. You think about this. His skin peeled. You see the double skin? His skin peeled. And what's left of the skin turned into a jaguar skin. And he became the Lord of the flowers, Xochitl flowers, the Lord of the flowers. And look at this longing for liberation. Do you see it? When you go to Mexico Anthropological Museum and you see Xochipilli, it's such an emotional, touching statue. First, it's humongous, but you really believe that he's also transforming. That this is the smoking mirror has given him the power of now shed who he was and turn into something so beautiful. And what is beauty? The virtue, the path to illumination. You see that? So the aspect of us that has caused the divine of us to journey turns into the most divine God that there is in this world, which is the longing to be one with us. The lower turn into the longing to be one with us, into flowers. Right? The most beautiful light of being, flowers. They always capture our soul. Isn't that true? It is something so wonderful. Flowers everywhere. His body is blooming in flowers. And this is the life of the Lord of the Smoking Mirror. Then, as I said before, Quetzalcoatl, after 4 days, found himself in the Mictlan. Mictlan is the Lord of Hell, Lord of Death, right? And when he explained to Quetzalcoatl, and look at the shape of Quetzalcoatl now, it's very different. And when you see you can't confuse the Lord of Hell, right? He is the Lord of Hell, Mictlan. Interesting, he has the cross of Quetzalcoatl. So he's already converted, so to speak. So when he told Quetzalcoatl what to do, remember 4 times around the world, gather the bones and travel and make 4 gyrations and come back, Quetzalcoatl said, I'm going to do it. He said, no, I won't let you because I'm the king here. I rule over these bones, you cannot take them. Well, he did. And before that, they had to fight. And these represent both fighting. Now, yes.
And also, even though they're fighting, they almost look joined, it's almost the same,
Right.
echoing the Ani or the supplicant becoming one with Osiris. And also down there, is he eating him, or is that just the?
No, this is like Ani. This is the beautiful wife. This is Quetzalcoatl,
Mhm.
the lady of death.
Ah.
If when you die, the last thing that happens to you, she's going to swallow you. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah,
It's an awful
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
She will swallow you, and then you find yourself, in front of Hades. This is like Hades, right?
Okay.
This is just to show the family, the beautiful family, what they do for a living, right? What they do for a living. Couple things. One is, it's interesting the fight, very alchemical. From two, something very good will come out. The Lord of the Bones is very interesting too, right? It's like, who am I down there, right? It represents the archetypical idea of our stage in Kamaloka, or state after death. And here comes the second death, the battle of the lower and the higher, like in the Mahatma letters. It's very beautiful to read and study every aspect of it. I wanted to point out that the Lord of Death also is feeling. You see that? The bones come to here, but the hands are healed. See that? So it's like there is a human aspect of it. There's a lot to see here, right? And so on.
So it's all about transformation?
Exactly, very good. Or transmutation, yes. Or gestation, or moving. This is all so dynamic. He won. Quetzalcoatl won. Made appear a new humanity in the planet Earth under this new order, right? And he himself turns into the Lord of the planet Venus, of the morning star. Tlahuizcalpantecutli. Now you know Tecutli is Lord, because we saw that before, right? And you studied that in elementary school. And Tlahuizcalpantecutli is the Lord of the morning star, the planet Venus. Which for us, immediately we say, he became the next stage for us, which is a divine being, right? At the end job. He moves on. He moves on. This is in the secret doctrine. From in the ladder or in the bridge of all the kingdoms, the next kingdom for us is a divine kingdom, divine being. And he made it. See that? So he's telling us, like Osiris, and he will move to the next kingdom as a god, from being a king to being a god. So Quetzalcoatl moved from being a king to being a god of the morning star to guide our rebirth, so to speak. Isn't that a beautiful story?
Mm.
And then it doesn't end there. Tlahuizcalpantecutli turns later on into the Lord of the Milky Way, which keeps going and higher and higher. The beautiful story of the secret doctrine is there is no end. There is no end outside. It's so long. The story is so long. And things keep going higher and higher and higher. And humanities will go higher and higher in a spiritual awakening. One of the ways that they depicted that, and look at this detail, it's very interesting. What they did is they had, at that time, the religious institution had some knighthoods too. The knight of the jaguar, the knight of the eagle. And one of the things they used to do is to take a razor and cut their skin to show that they are brave, Pain means nothing. Not like me, ouch! It was a little piece of paper he cut me. And for 3 days it hurt like hell. Have you ever cut?
Oh, yeah.
Ever cut?
Yeah.
And it hurts like hell?
Yeah.
Well, I started at work like on Wednesday.
yeah.
And I'm still complaining.
Yeah.
Well, look at Tlahuizcalpantecutli. His sacrifice is only the lower part. See that? You see the difference with Mixcoatl? The human aspect of him is sacrificed from the waist down. The human part of this is completely sacrificed. You see that? See the detail? These are cuts done by obsidian blade
Wow.
to show that, oh, I'm above humanity.
Wow.
I'm above all this. And this is the progression. And it keeps going and going and going. It's so beautiful to study this ancient. What's important is there is really no answer here for a perfect ending. Just to know that whatever we do is already somewhere as a divine plan. This is my talk. That these children's stories, that was a religion, a very powerful religion for many centuries or many thousands of years in these cultures, they really represent something that we also have to go through. And somehow they illuminate us in finding out who we are. And that's why I really love to walk through these ruins. And this is Teotihuacan, where the story of Quetzalcoatl happened. Teo means God, Huacan, the place of the gods. And this is the pyramid of the sun. Have you been there in Teotihuacan?
Where
You
is
did?
it?
It's outside Mexico City. If you take a bus ride and you go there. Everybody should go. Come on, this is right there, you know. There, you know. It's a trip there to Mexico, and then the pyramid of the sun is 365 steps. Now do what I did. You count them. Now, of course, when I was about 80, I forgot the counting, I forgot I was in a pyramid, I was so exhausted. The steps, you remember the steps? They're very tall and skinny, narrow. I was more worried about falling than do a scientific research. Forget that. I believe the book is 365 days, for sure. I took the photo from the Pyramid of the Moon. It's right here. The moon is very important. We didn't go into that, but it's extremely important. When you are here in the Pyramid of the Moon, the place you cannot miss, and I'm assuming you're going to go, right? The place you're going to go is right here. This is where the mysteries took place, the Calmecac. And that temple is the most holy of the holiest of them all. And if you do what I do, you can walk around deeper in the tunnels and see the wall.
Wow.
The wall. You cannot take photos there. It's recorded. And this is where the nights of the eagles and the nights of the jaguar initiations took place. And the reason why it is so holy is because the top part is the temple of Quetzalcoatl, where the bird turns into a butterfly. Papalotl, butterfly. So you go from a snake to a bird to a butterfly. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And all the symbols around are so incredible that you feel you got to do that journey. Thank you so much. Thank you.